What is the best citizenship in South America? This is a question that more and more people have been asking recently, as they have a plan B in their head that South America is this safe haven and they want to become either a resident or a citizen and execute on this plan B. And a question that is kind of presented is, do you want the best passport or do you want the fastest? And I actually think that the fastest one is the best option for the majority of people. And we can get into that a bit later, but firstly, let's get into technically the best passport. So the Chilean passport is technically the best in South America. It gets you visa-free access to 162 countries, has 80% global reach. It's a very, very good passport. It's the only passport in South America that gets you visa-free access to the US. You also get visa-free access to Canada. And there's basically 5 years until citizenship, and it's the most developed country in South America. So spending time in Chile, I can definitely say for sure, is the most developed in South America. But compared to, Western Europe or something like that, it's definitely not on the same level, but it is very developed in South American terms. And you have very easy access to like Western amenities, and it's very, very Americanized, something that actually kind of shocked me about the country. So the route to citizenship would be apply for a rentista, which is basically just proving that you have consistent monthly income, and then that would give you temporary residency, and then you could convert temporary residency into permanent residency after 2 years, and then hold permanent residency for 3 years, and then apply to become a citizen. So I've added above the passport, you must integrate into Chilean society. This is because it's not, this sort of thing where you can just spend 1 week per year there, rock up 5 years later and expect to be naturalized. You actually have to integrate into Chilean society. You have to have an interview in Spanish. You have to basically have knowledge about the country. And, after 5 years, you're going to apply for citizenship, but it doesn't mean you're going to become a citizen in 5 years. You then may have to wait 1, 2, 3, 4 years, maybe longer in some cases, to actually be naturalized. So in South America, it's extremely important to work with the right people because, for example, the tiniest mistake on an application can mess things up and delay things by months or years. And also when you speak to immigration sort of like officials in these countries, one will tell you one thing and you can go to somebody else and they'll tell you something completely contradictory and different. But Chile is one of the best on the continent. Like what the government website says is usually the process, what happens, which is not the case in many other South American countries. So now let's get into Argentina, which is the fastest and what I believe is the best for the majority of people. So I just want to say I spend part of my year in Argentina. It's, I would consider it one of my homes. I love Argentina. It's my favorite country on earth. So right now, technically, Argentina has more visa-free access than Chile with 163 countries. But you obviously don't have visa-free to the US or Canada. So if that's important to you, then Chile would be obviously better. But the main sort of thing about Argentina is it's one of the best passports in the world, and you can get it in just 2 years. But obviously you're missing the US, Canada, and Australia on the visa-free front. So the route to Argentinian citizenship would basically be apply for a rentista, same as Chile, where you're showing sufficient monthly income, and then spend 6 months per year there for 2 years, and then you would skip PR and apply straight for citizenship. And in Argentina, all citizenship applications have to be approved by a judge. So it's not like, it's a bit different from other countries. It has to be approved by a judge, but usually, you're going to get it. If you've done everything correctly, you're probably going to be naturalized. But that doesn't mean you're going to get the passport in 2 years. The naturalization procedure could take, it could end up, the whole process could end up taking you 3 years or 4 years if it's a very 3 years on a good one, 4 years, 5 years if you have some bad luck. But usually you can get it in the whole process from moving to Argentina to becoming a citizen can be done in 3 to 3.5 years. So it's still very, very fast. So then another option if you have very specific circumstances, which technically has the most visa-free access in South America right now, 164 countries, is Brazil. But obviously you're missing out the US, Canada. Weirdly, you don't have Mexico as well. But if certain things apply to you, you can become a citizen in just 1 year. So this path would basically be, if you're having a child and you want to give your child, an extra citizenship, you could fly to Brazil, have the child born in Brazil. The child would instantly become Brazilian upon birth. And then you as the parent, even if none of you are Brazilian, would get permanent residency through your child being born in Brazil. And then after 1 year of residency, you would be able to apply for citizenship. And this obviously is a good option. If you're having a child, you want to give your child an extra citizenship, and you also want to get Brazilian citizenship at the same time. But don't be sort of fooled by people saying online, okay, 1 year and you're going to become Brazilian. That's not the case. It's 1 year until you can apply. And then obviously you got to go through the naturalization procedure. So it's probably more on the end of like 2.5 years, 3 years, if you're really lucky, 2 years. But so for the majority of people, Argentina for sure is the best option. You get, citizenship in 2 to 3 years. So it's the fastest on the continent. It's one of the best passports in the world. You do have to remember, though, that you can't renounce Argentinian citizenship. This doesn't really bother me at all, although some people it bothers them. If you really love Chile, if you're American and you want to renounce or something like that, then Chile is the better option. If you're having a child, then Brazil could be a better option. If you speak Portuguese or you're more interested in the Portuguese, Brazilian culture, I would choose Brazil. But for me personally, Argentina is my choice for sure. And that's what I think the best citizenship options in South America are. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, or you can book a call and I can answer any questions that you have.